Hey everyone, and welcome back to DIY with Melissa. I, of course, am Melissa. I have a fun tutorial for you today. We're going to discuss all things related to fonts. We are going to find fonts on dafont.com. We're going to download those fonts. We're going to ensure we organize those fonts on our computer. We're going to install that font, and then we're going to ensure that we can see the font in Cricut Design Space. I have some other tips and tricks regarding glyphs and how to get those. I did do a video before, but I found a better way to work with glyphs on the computer. So you really don't want to miss this one. Let's head over to the computer and we'll get this started. We are back at the computer and we're going to get right into it. Today, as I said, we are talking all about fonts, downloading fonts, installing fonts, using fonts in Cricut Design Space. We are actually going to start off with dafont.com. Dafont.com is exactly that, DAFONT.com. You'll see the top left-hand corner here. This website has a slew of fonts that you can choose from. At the top here, they have the fonts labeled by theme. So holiday, for instance, we have Valentine's, Easter, Halloween, Christmas, various. But there's fancy fonts, techno, gothic, basic, script fonts, all sorts of fonts. If, for instance, you found a font that somebody says, head over to dafont.com, this is the name of the font, you can search for it over here, or you can search for them through the alphabet. However, just note, once you go into one letter, it will be in alphabetical order from there. And I will just click on one just to give you an idea. So we have G-type, GB boot, GI, GA, then we go down the list all the way. So it's a little bit difficult to search through that option there. Depending on the type of font that you want. So for instance, if you want a decorative font, we can click on that. And we have all the decorative fonts will show up here. The one I use a lot, of course, is the script area. We have old school, we have graffiti, we have various, we have old school, which gives you kind of like that sporty font, I guess you can say. Calligraphy fonts are also found here. One of the things that I really like about dafont.com is if you click on one of the fonts, you can now preview your font that you want to you can preview the word or name that you are trying to find the font for. So of course I'm going to try and preview it with my name, Melissa, and this is what it looks like. From here, you can click on download. However, if I go back to the list that was there, there's also the option to download here. It also tells you how many people have downloaded this font. So in this Birds of Paradise, over 11 million people have downloaded this font. 3,400 were downloaded yesterday. Keep in mind as well that these fonts are for personal use only. I am not certain how you can go about purchasing a commercial license. Oh, it's right here. Commercial licenses are available and there's a link that you can go to. So please look into that if you are wanting to sell the project that you are working on with the font. You do want to make sure that you purchase a commercial license so you have no issues. So I'm going to go ahead and click download here. Once it's downloaded, it ends up in our downloads folder. Here's our Birds of Paradise. I'm going to right click on here and click on extract all. Once we click on extract all, if we click on extract, it's going to extract it in our downloads folder. Do keep in mind that if you were to change computers in the future, you do need to keep the font that was downloaded on that computer in order to be able to use it on the new computer. It will have to be installed again on that new computer so that you can see it in Cricut Design Space. Please, it's really important. I can't tell you how many fonts and projects I lost because I did not have the font available anymore. And Cricut will say that the font is no longer installed, I think is what it says, and you can't use it for any of your projects. So if it's an older project that maybe has done really well for you selling wise, note that if you don't save it in a good spot and reinstall it on the new computer, you will lose that. You'll have to start from scratch. So what I like to do is I like to click on Browse. And as you can see, I have my path here, desktop, DIY with Melissa, then fonts. I save my fonts here, and I save them by the name of the font. And the more you get into Cricut, the more you start using it, you're going to kind of remember the name, or at least a partial name of the font. So for instance, Joseph Sophia is a font that I use all the time. It's one of my favorite fonts ever. So I know that font. I can tell you that like the back of my hand. So I'm just going to right click and create a new folder, or I could have clicked on new folder up here. And as I said, I name the folder according to the name of the font, just like so. So we can click on select folder, and now this font will be extracted in that folder, in my fonts folder. So now I can click on extract. My own does open it up for me. So this is giving me a little guide here. This one, not all of them do this, as to what I can and can't do with this font. I am going to use this for personal use only, so that's fine. When installing your font, you want it to be either this TTF font, which is True Type font, or OTF, Open Type font. Either one of those will work. I'm going to double click on it, and it opens up like this, and I'm going to click on Install. Once you've installed your font, you'll see, I'm going to bring a text box in and type in my name. And I'm going to search for the name of that font, which was Birds of Paradise. So we'll just start off with birds. As you can see, it's not in Cricut yet. Why that is that there are two options. One is you're going to have to X out of Cricut and reopen it. It's almost like it refreshes the program and makes the font available in here. The other way is it can be a dangerous way to do this. If you have a project on your computer, on your canvas that you're working on, and you found a font after the fact, please save that project before you do anything else. Just like if you were going to X out of here, you're going to save your project before you do so. The other way to get the font to show up in here is by force reload, I believe it's called. Yeah. Reload will not work. You have to do a force reload. By clicking this button, as you will see, it's going to make everything disappear off my canvas. So I'm going to click on it right now because it's fine. It's just my name. There you go. It's refreshed and it's removed the project that I was working on. So do keep that in mind. Either which way you go, whether you close the program and reopen it or do the force reload, you do need to save whatever it is that's on your canvas in that moment. So I'm going to bring another text box in and type in my name. And I'm going to go under the fonts, and under system fonts, I'm going to search bird. And there's my Birds of Paradise for personal use only. They made it very clear for this one. Now I can go ahead and create my project with this font. The next thing I'm going to show you is, as you can see, the I is touching the S ever so slightly, but I want it to sit the way the other letters are sitting, where it's more in the letter. If I use the letter space here, it will bring it together, but then this starts happening. So what we can do here to get this to fix itself is, once your other letters are where you want them to be, we could ungroup our letters, and we're not going to just grab this letter and move it. It is doable, but as you can see, my hand sometimes can slip upwards and move the letter around. And I don't like that. So my suggestion is, we're going to select just the A over here, and using our arrow keys on our keyboard, I'm going to move it back over so that there isn't that overlap. So now all my letters are touching. I want the M a little bit closer. I'm just going to use the arrow key to do the same concept, just like so. Once I'm happy with it, if you wanted to touch, you could, but this letter is not quite great to touch. I don't really like how that looks. Just want it to be a little bit closer. However close you want to bring it, you can do so. We'll then select all the letters of the name. We can either attach them or unite or weld them. And now all the letters are touching each other nicely. And this will cut in one smooth cut rather than have that bit of a jagged edge there. Next thing I'm going to show you is using glyphs in Design Space. I've showed you this before, but I did find a better way to do this. So I'm going to go to my system fonts and I'm going to bring up Joseph Sophia. If you watched my other video on using the glyphs for these fonts, you would know that I went to my start menu and I typed in character map. And that brought up this little tiny map. I would choose a font, the drop down, I'd find my font, Joseph Sophia. And if I scroll down a bit, all the glyphs start showing up here. If it's not showing, please click on Advanced View and make sure your group by says All. You can then grab your glyphs from here, but as you can see, it is a bit tiny to work with. There is no way to maximize this or to open it up more. So the other way I found that works really well is we're going to go to Google and we're going to search for Character Map UWP. This is it here. It's a Microsoft app and we can download it from here. I've already downloaded it, so I'm not going to download it again. Once I downloaded it, it came up like this and there's a .exe. You just double click and let it run on your computer. Once you have it on your computer, it shows up like this. It does end up being an app and can be found on your start menu. And I imagine if I started typing, it's also here. So the one that was there already is up here. And then this is the one that I found on Google. We can search for the font just like that. And I believe I have two of them because one was the OTP, the open type font, while the other was the true type font, I think is what it's called. Our letters are now here. And now I want to bring in my M with the line, the glyph or swirly line at the front. At the bottom here, I'm going to click on copy. I'm going to go back to Cricut. While in Cricut, we can right click and paste. You can delete the extra M, or I can hit Control V on my keyboard and it also brings it in that way. I'm going to bring in the A now. I want the glyph on the other side. Copy it, get into Design Space and paste. Delete the extra A and now there it is. The other option would be we can do the A with the heart at the end of it. We'll copy that there. And I'll hit the Control V this time. If you're hitting Control V, you can select the letter and then hit Control V, so we'll just replace it. And then I'm going to type in my husband's name. I'm going to finish off the N. Copy. And paste. And now we have the glyphs in our names. The last thing I'm going to show you is that Cricut recently updated their program. And if you are in Cricut fonts, you will see that it gives you a preview of what the word or name will look like if you chose the font. So I just chose BFC Vintage Champagne. And now my name looks like what the preview looked like. I really like this feature. If you have been cricketing for a long time, you may remember Cricut had it so that there was a certain word, a certain phrase that they had, and it was the same phrase over and over again, showing you how the font will look. And I didn't really like that at all. Um, so I'm really happy they did this. However, do note that this is only for Cricut fonts and not all of them. It says preview not available for this one. But majority of them do have it. Your system fonts will not show up this way. So I'm going to show you how I go about creating with system fonts when I'm looking for a font that looks good with my project that I'm designing. So for instance, if I wanted a handwritten font, I'll bring in the first one. And let's say I like this one, but I want to look at others. I'm going to duplicate this name. And now I have two of them there, and I can start changing that font to see what other fonts will look like. So if I like those two so far, but I want to see what else is available, I can click through and see all the different fonts that are available. And without having to write down the name of the font or memorizing the name of the font, this allows me to see the different options that are available for me. And then when I click on it, up in the font area here, it tells me the name of the font. Or if you right click under image info, it also shows it there. So those are my tips and tricks when it comes to fonts: how to download the font, how to install the font, how to use the font within Design Space, and of course, how to use dafont.com. The same way we downloaded and installed the font from dafont.com is the same way you would do it if you're using a program like Creative Fabrica or Design Bundles, or if you get a font from Etsy. It's the same idea. You download it and install it and restart Cricut or force reload to get the font in. And of course, we went through the character map that's now available. UWP that's available off Google. And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. It is very simple, but some really good tips and tricks that you may not have known before that you now know. I highly suggest using some of those ideas. And if you do, leave me a comment below and let me know, what did you like most about this tutorial that I shared today. Until next week, I hope you have a fabulous week ahead. As always, happy crafting. Take care. Bye now.